Hi, everybody. Jared Petty here for IGN, joined by
Megan Sullivan.
Megan. What are we looking at here today?
We are looking at Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, the working title of the Japanese game, and let me see if I can get this title right. Gen A Ibun Roku #FE, which translates as Revelation of the Illusion #FE. I am assuming FE is Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption here. So, a couple of years ago, they dropped a Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem game teaser on us, and then it went real quiet to the point that some people wondered if this was ever going to happen. Boy, did it ever happen, and what we got is not what most people expected. Judging by what I've read and seen on the internet, this is pretty far divorced from the expectations folks had for this game.
I would say so. I certainly wasn't, expecting it at all.
Yeah, I wondered if it was going to happen anymore, and then when it just suddenly pops up here, do we have a Fire Emblem-style tactical game? It doesn't appear so. Do we have a Shin Megami Tensei kind of dark, weird journey? No, what we have here is idols and explosions and light, and it's very... now, that said, it's very Persona-esque, and we're going to go back through and kind of dig through this thing. There's a lot of an Atlus vibe to this.
There's definitely a lot.
And I like that part of it. Nintendo and Atlus in collaboration on this project seemed kind of like a weird, strange choice anyway, and I'm excited about where they may go with this, but this is just kind of an explode-in-your-face, like, most Japanese thing that ever happened kind of trailer. And,
it's definitely has sort of a poppy bubblegum feel, which is something absolutely I did not expect.
No, and while Persona sometimes goes there, it's still a little brighter than we might have thought. So let's run back here to the beginning and start looking at what there is to dissect. And let's start with these folks right here. We're going to kind of fade into the shot. These four folks. Now, I expected to see a bunch of Persona characters, Shin Megami Tensei characters, because when we saw that tiny little tease a couple of years ago, there were a bunch of them.
In fact, there were all the main protagonists from all four of the main Shin Megami Tensei games.
And here, unless I'm missing something, I don't see any of those people. Instead, who are these folks?
So that's what we were trying to figure out, right? Is that supposed to be Marth sort of in the armor? Is that Roy in the background? Mm-hmm. Is that Sheeta, or are these their sort of modern counterparts, or are these just people who look like those characters?
Exactly. We're wondering if this is some kind of character abstraction of some of the mainline Fire Emblem folks that we've gotten used to, or if these are original characters. They do resemble some Fire Emblem people, and if you look at the logo on the young lady's jacket for the school there's a kind of a passing resemblance to some Fire Emblem art style. It doesn't match any of the Shin Megami Tensei logos we've seen before. So we're going to move forward here, and we are in
Shibuya.
Yeah, we are in Shibuya. So this is kind of a clever little thing. Megan, you've been in that building how many times?
I practically lived in that building when I lived in Japan. So that's supposed to be Ichimaru-Q, which is a huge shopping complex in Shibuya. You can't miss it. And this is very kind of clever, tongue-in-cheek. It's actually 106, not 109.
Right, they flipped the 6 down to a 9. And here we see a couple of characters in the background already, kind of in idle form. And then suddenly, flying Pegasus, and jumping up in the air, and stuff is happening.
Tons of stuff is happening. So if we go back to the Pegasus Knight, so you can also see the characters in the background. We'll talk a little bit more about them. You see Kiria, who looks like a pop idol. You see a male pop idol. And then you see this sort of, Pegasus Knight flying through the air.
Yeah, and idols. That's what I think of when I think of Fire Emblem.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally do. Now, here's somebody who looks like either Marth or possibly Chrome from Fire Emblem Awakening. We can't tell. They look a little bit sinister in this
It's
shot.
kind of a nifty reimagining, if that's what it is. Now, some people have trouble with the art style in this, the kind of weird armor future thing, but I like it. It kind of fits that weird techno fetish vibe that you got from things like, Digital Devil Saga or some of the other Mega 10 stuff. And here we have a high schooler in contemporary Tokyo. And for folks that are more coming this from the Fire Emblem angle, understand if you haven't played the Persona games, this is what Persona is really all about. Life in contemporary Japan, plus, horrible evil dwelling under the earth.
What's interesting is it's strange that it didn't advertise anything about Persona. Remember, Persona is a spin-off of SMT, except that the word Ibun Roku is in the Japanese name for this game, and Ibun Roku was in the original Persona. It was Megami Ibun Roku Persona.
Okay.
So maybe there is a little bit of Persona
connection
in there.
Possibly. Here we see a Tokyo cityscape, and here it's not. We're going to see a little different take on Tokyo in a minute. This pretty much just looks like a happy sunrise or sunset. This young lady has some wonderful ears. I have a pair like that myself that I wear sometimes.
Oh, I'm jealous. But she's definitely sort of a pop idol. Is this she does. She sort of has the blue hair. She sort of has the spear going. It's really hard to tell.
One of the ideas that people have put forward is that these characters may be ordinary high schoolers, much like Persona characters, who then, instead of having demonic personas, become Fire Emblem characters as their personas, and that they sort of adopt an otherworldly sort of parallel universe thing. Now, here we go. This fellow right here, and look, you see that there's what may be a kabuki play going on. If you're familiar with kabuki theater, the stagehands in the background wear these black costumes. It's actually where we get the idea of the contemporary kind of classic ninja costume. This fellow right here may be working a stage play. You can see off in the corner what looks like a crowd watching a stage, and he may be
it's not traditional kabuki like you would think. It's more like those live Power Rangers kind of thing. It looks like that's what's happening. You can see the other stagehands sort of got defeated by
like
this
a
superhero.
kabuki common writer thing is going on over there. Yeah, and then here we have him come rolling in, and there he is.
Yeah, and you've got some sort of I don't know what that is. That his.
Is that the weapon? Is that an ally?
Is that a persona? Yeah, we would again, it's not advertised as a Persona game, but there's somebody hanging around on his motorcycle.
We keep bringing up Persona because, one thing we need to remember with this was Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem. The Megaten spin-off games, the fact is Persona is more popular than the series that spawned it at this point, both in Japan and here, and that may be some of what's going on, that social aspect of the game. I don't know. Okay, and here we have the young lady again. And you notice that this is the first time we see it in the background, these kind of faded out human beings who show us who's not particularly important to the story. We'll see a lot of that in the anime sequences here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are.
And the two characters together that we saw earlier.
Also, spoiler alert here, the Triforces of Wisdom, Power, and Courage above his head. That's not what that...
They've even snuck in some Zelda aspects.
Yeah, no, that's not what that is at all. That symbol's actually very common in Japan. It's a family crest. You'll see it on a lot of businesses. I was just being silly.
No, I like your theory better.
Yeah, okay. You like my theory there?
So you're in this battle arena of some sort. You can see that there's a crowd in the background. You can see a Pegasus Knight. Again, Dark Chrome, Dark Marth.
Yeah, dark somebody. Yeah. Really angry guy. Unhappy person with glowy eyes. Great contact lenses.
So this looks very Shin Megami Tensei to me.
Yeah, it does.
It looks very sort of dark and
I'm wondering if this is a dungeon layout, like if we're previewing an area, you're going to have to walk through it, and I wonder if each of those little grids is maybe an encounter. I do not know for sure. Right here, we have no idea who this is from behind. The hair looks wrong to be Sheena. It seems to be a little too short, maybe, and the outfit also. The tattered hands there, and then you've got this purple mosaic background. Take note of that. We're going to come back to that in a little. We're still in Shibuya here, by the way.
You can see again the. I think it's supposed to be 106, and you see the idols on there. So
it's probably that same area of the game. But watch that mosaic. Now, jumping ahead here, this is suddenly a very Fire Emblem-looking moment.
In fact,
looking moment right here.
That looks like Tiki.
Yep, there's Tiki from behind. We're going to see her turn around here in a minute, and we're going to get a better look at her. But this looks like some kind of maybe alternate universe kind of setup. Once again, her. And, there we are. And suddenly, in combat, she uses the power of underwear to defeat evil. Yeah.
And you can see her friends behind her, so you've got the four characters.
She's in her underwear. Okay, well, maybe you fight more effectively in underwear. I don't know. I haven't
tried it myself. But,
I've never fought demons in my underwear either.
I can't say that it's not effective.
No,
it certainly will stun your enemies.
Perhaps it's liberating. Then we have the here's Idol Lady, or Lingerie Lady as she's called sometimes. Yeah.
Yes. Now some people have speculated. I'm not sure I quite believe this, but some people think that might be Lyn from Fire Emblem. But that's a real jump to me.
Well, we're trying to make jumps here. The fact is the art style is so disparate from what we're used to that we're not quite sure who anybody is or what's going on. And here we are, like above the planet Earth with something exploding. But I think those are actually screens behind. Because look here, you can see
it does. It looks like you're still in the battle arena.
So it's probably multiple screens there. Okay, then we have high school life in Japan. And here's everybody hanging out, and we can tell who's important and who's not because the important people are actually filled in. There's that school crest again. That's very common. Important part of the Persona games is the schools that the protagonists go to, and also a lot of the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Yes, and you'll notice that it still looks like the Fire Emblem seal or the Fire Emblem crest. So it's kind of a neat. Mix of the two.
Yeah, I've been going through all the seals for the schools. I couldn't find one that matched this. And, all this goes all the way back to Shin Megami Tensei If and that whole branch. If you want to know more about that, there's some neat stuff about that on the web. Okay, so here we are. We're back in Shibuya yet again. It's kind of fun watching this. I've spent a lot of time in this neighborhood So I just feel happy. Honestly, all the way back to Persona 1, I learned more about life in Japan, I think, from Persona games than almost anything else before I moved there. There's a fun little Easter egg here. Boss Coffee is a very popular coffee brand in Japan. You see that Dog's Coffee logo right smack in the middle of the screen? That's the same branding.
Sort of the black and white.
Yeah, that black and white in the middle. That's the seal that they use for Boss Coffee, just a little thing here. And you see little restaurant things, that stuff.
You see the Tuxedo bookstore.
Okay, we're trying to figure out what this was. I wondered if this was over by Sensoji, but I'm not sure it is. It looks too rural to be Sensoji. But two things that are interesting in this shot. First, on the left side, remember that colorful purple mosaic we saw earlier with the mysterious lady?
Yes.
There's something very similar in front of this building here. Second was something you pointed out, Megan.
So I pointed out, you see where it says scene in the upper right corner, it says Bangumi Setto, and it's Nishi each floor. So this is actually, it's a numbered set. You're in the western part of it. It's the first floor. Could it be the start of a dungeon? And you can actually see your three characters.
Right.
The one in the middle is looks like Pegasus Knight. So it tells you what they are. You see their HP, you see their EP, and it looks like you're heading towards a dungeon, which is really interesting.
Yeah, so this may be what the dungeon wandering layout looks like. Okay, now we're in an area where it looks like we're around the idol arena, perhaps. And look, there's Tiki.
There's Tiki. You can't miss her.
There she is right there in the background. And we think this might be, see, in the background, if you look above the young lady's head, there's a lot going on in this shot.
Yes. So you see music ranking top 100. You see at the top, Kiria and her song Reincarnation. I wonder if that's a little bit of a hint as to what's happening, or if I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah, and also that line below you said was Vampire, right?
Vampire. So it's the name of the song. So Vampire Gachinko Raida, and then I can't see what 4 is. It's blurred out, and then the 5th one says Brush.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to come into play.
Okay, again, taking a big leap here. This kind of reminds me of Japanese pop group AKB48's original studio in Akihabara, which was above the Don Quixote store, and it was kind of a small area with a you could actually kind of see over where the lights were and stuff like this. And it was a store, and then they recorded concerts on the inside. This looks quite a bit like that used to. So I'm wondering if this is inspired by one of those types of areas.
That is entirely possible. Now here we are at a convenience store.
Konbini!
Konbini!
I love Konbini. So yeah, fun fact, friends, if you ever travel to Japan, some of the best cheap food in the country is available at Konbini's. These guys are hanging out. It's a place that teenagers hang out in Japan. They hang out inside, and then they crouch in little circles outside them.
Yeah, they do.
So they're always open. Every neighborhood has one, and people hang out at them. We get these guys hanging out. Anything here besides delicious onigiri in the background that you want to point out?
I did notice that the magazine has something of like Weekly Future magazine. The last two characters I can see clearly are Mirai, which is future. I don't know. Again, is that a hint at something, or is that just the name of that magazine? They're chilling. I don't know if there's social links in the game. I highly doubt it.
Yep.
But why are you hanging out at a convenience store otherwise? So.
Well, you had the pharmacies in some of the old games. Again, that was especially in the Persona stuff.
Yeah, so maybe you can buy like medicine and items. Yeah, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, there used to be a thing I think where they would sing the status ailments on the jingle.
Oh, that's right.
To the start. Yeah, it was kind of great. Okay, and here we go. There she is again.
Yeah, that is definitely Tiki. Cannot miss it. She's even got the little dragon crown.
I want a dragon hat.
I do too.
That's a really great hat. All right, we move on here. And, okay, so my theory is this is Odaiba. There's a Ferris wheel on Odaiba in Tokyo. And just like the Persona games, again, largely take place around Tokyo, and also some of the Shin Megami Tensei, for example, SMT4, take place around these areas. I think that's an Odaiba Ferris wheel with kind of a dark demonic spin to it. Oh, and here we have unnamed pro-antagonist. Who is this?
Yes, so this is either an enemy or a frenemy, I call her, but you can see she's got the patch, she's got the long pigtails, and we'll see her again.
My hand slipped there for a second. She also has feathers coming out of her pants.
Yes, so I don't know if that's a reference to she's a Pegasus Knight or something like that. I totally threw that out there.
Okay, wondering about that. We'll move ahead. Right here.
This lady who's dressed in sexy rags.
Yeah, this is Sexy Rag Lady. This is the lady from the mosaic earlier. She's got the same tattered sleeves. So I'm not sure who this is.
And she's summoning that winged female who might be Inverse or Aversa. I'm not sure which is the correct name. That she might be actually summoning that character. Well, I think that's the same enemy we're going to see a little bit later on.
Okay, cool. We'll move on here. Oh, here we go.
Ooh,
evil.
Evil.
Side helping of evil. I'm pretty sure whatever's happening here, it's evil. But once again, there's those Triforce logos in the back, so this is happening in that same area that earlier scene we saw was. And here we go. Magical discovery.
Yes, he's got a magic power.
He's got a magic power. He's going to throw it at somebody. And here we're back looking at that arena again. Oh, there we go. Kamen Rider type guys popping in here. And I think this guy right here is actually Ninja RoboCop. I don't think that's real. All right, we move on. And there we go. He's angry. Boom!
Boom.
Evil guy.
Yeah, the evil guy who maybe was summoning that one character just got a face full of light.
And we're going to see some combat here now. Now, here we are in that arena.
I wanted to rewind it just a little bit to that robot dude.
Yeah.
If you rewind just a little tiny bit beyond that, you'll see you'll see the face of this guy.
Oh, there we go.
It's really creepy.
Oh, that's lovely. Wow.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
The Jared Leto Joker is crawling out of his head.
Oh my God! Now I can't unsee that. That's wonderful.
Right. There we are.
You see the sort of the Triforce triangles seem to be a
there's
theme
a kind
here.
of triangle motif. There's a lot of angular geometry.
Yeah, it was very, but that was very SMT dark.
Yeah, I like that moment a lot. Yeah, that's a very SMT themed character.
Yes,
or at least the art style on it is absolutely. SMT sometimes I feel like is what would happen if Toriyama just didn't take his medicine for about 6 months. Okay, so we move on here. All right.
So
we
that's
see a life bar. Here's our
yeah.
first. And look here, we see. Looks like it says HP there.
Yes,
HP?
it does.
So if you went ahead.
So and you see it went down. So he may have got a killing blow in there.
Okay.
You see Kiria again. She's armed with a mic and a mic stand.
Yeah,
so
she's
watch
wielding
out.
a microphone in battle.
That would hurt if that hit you.
If you got hit by, I think that Steve Tyler might be a very effective fighter in this setting. You just bring his mic.
I hope that's a DLC character. That would be great.
Steve Tyler, that would be amazing. Okay, so here she is. She's rocking out to Justice, and again we see those track lights above. Maybe that's that arena that we saw.
I'm assuming that most things. Oh, now this is interesting.
Yeah, we see a lot here.
Eagle-eyed fans caught this. So you'll see on the bottom in Japanese it says Gan Leru, and so it's Gangrel from one of the Fire Emblem games, and you can tell because he's got that sort of crown on his hat. Yeah. But it's a very spooky SMT rendition.
This is a very SMT. Yeah, this is like something. It's amazing. We got a Fire Emblem character reinterpreted to look like something straight out of Strange Journey.
Yeah,
I mean he just looks great. He's like a shuriken head.
Yes.
Also on the top of the screen, we see a lot of clues here. We have a round counter on the left side, first off, round 2. Mm-hmm. We've got an action counter there, and then we have this sort of order of operations bar going on
Yes, sort
above.
of like an action or time gauge. This is really obscure, but this reminded me of the time gauge from Atelier Iris 2 because you can see the characters' turns. You can see that Gangrel is actually a little bit ahead of these guys. You can see when their next round is going to be for each of them.
You just made somebody out there really happy. There's somebody for whom that's their favorite RPG ever.
Iris fans, I'm giving a shout out to them.
Jose Otero noted that it reminded him in some ways of what he saw in Final Fantasy X. I think that's apt, but I think your reference is kind of super spot on. It really is.
So then we've got some.
Okay, so then we have
explosions!
Evil Tron and explosions and people jumping through. Now, is this the guy from the bike earlier? Or is this somebody new? No, that's.
I'm not entirely sure. That's actually a good.
I think it's a different guy.
Okay, so remember we saw this conjured earlier,
right.
And this it says Inverse, and so that was also a Fire Emblem character. So they've sort of redesigned her. It looks like, and you can see.
And also many more characters on the action bar this time to give you an idea when everybody's going to get to move. I really like that.
It looks like the. Oh, and then we've got a Pegasus Knight.
Yep, there we go.
And that does look a little more, because of blue hair, that looks a little more like Sheeta. Or is it Kaida in the English version? I can't remember how to pronounce it.
And then, there she is. There's One-Eyed Lady again. There she
yes,
is. She's
that
also
the same
armed with a
one,
microphone.
Though? Yes, but is that the same one? Because now she's got red pigtails that look a little shorter than we saw her before. Is this the same? Is this a twin?
I'm guessing that's this. Maybe she changed clothes. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Now
this is cool.
Yeah, this is cool. So he's like, whoa.
So you'll notice that this very light blue-haired girl with a bow and arrow is bouncing off the top of this character's head. So are they being able to tag team, sort of like in Fire Emblem, especially Fire Emblem Awakening, where you can have two people, if they're next to each other, they can team up to attack.
Well, she looks. I'm probably stretching it way too far here, but her art right here with the bow, this kind of reminds me of Yukari's taken Ultimax. And I would, I doubt it is, but it does kind of look like her. The hairstyle similar, the palette's different.
The palette's different, although I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But the palette's different, but the hairstyle and the bow kind of work there.
Yeah, and you'll see that these next couple of rounds are people jumping into the air, so that's obviously a skill that you can use, which is really cool. And you can see on the bottom it says, so it says now it's this character fighting.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
Then we have session numbers. We see combos are possible.
Yes,
somehow.
and I actually wrote down what the different combos say. So it's like good, cool, great, and bravo.
Oh, nicely done. Oh, somebody's weak.
Uh-oh. Weak. Yeah. So see, it turns to
cool.
cool.
Yep.
And she's still in her school outfit, but she's using a spear.
So does that mean she hasn't switched over to Persona? And then in the background, once again, here we have the lady with the bow, but I don't see her on the action bar anywhere. Do you? Is that her right there in the action?
No, I don't know.
Is that her on the far left?
A...
That looks like her eyes though. So we have the schoolgirl moving, but she's not actually. So
the girl, but now she has blonde hair.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting.
Yeah,
that's an interesting twist. Is that something that she calls into battle? Is that her sort of super duper Saiyan kind of?
Yeah. Is there a persona switch happening?
Yeah.
Is she becoming some kind of Fire Emblem persona?
Okay, and then you see Chrome / Marth / Sheeta together.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, whoever that is.
Whoever that is, yep.
I'm just going to call him Roy because he looks like Roy from Fire Emblem.
Works for me.
Then
there she is.
And there she is. And so see how she is different from the other girl we saw a little bit
Yeah, she does
earlier?
look a little different. You're right.
She's
all feathery.
Similar. She's all feathery. She's singing her heart out.
Oh, I mean,
and there's
Min May taught us all that there's nothing more powerful than singing about love.
What's that robot thing in the background? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Evil dancing robots.
Yes.
Okay, there we are. Moving on. Oh, we're going to jump across the arena here. And here we go. Okay. So, for all the vibe we got from this is the most Megaten shot in the whole thing.
Yes.
Right here. There we go. Ruined Tokyo.
Yes, that is very, very Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the opening of Nocturne, actually.
Right. Because, people that have joined the series with Persona may forget that Shin Megami Tensei and before that even Megami Tensei are apocalyptic stories, largely, and centered around what happened to a ruined contemporary world. So, and finally, this young lady falling out of what appears to be a portal in time or something. Here she goes. We're back in
see her
Shibuya,
Pegasus, her turbo horse, I call him.
And now her turbo horse is going to transform into...
Or teleport. Yeah, and you see you saw the turbo jets on the Pegasus.
Now there's... And there's the... once again, you mentioned the adversary there.
Yes, and I can't tell if that's inverse again or somebody else, but you see that it's clearly a female character, and
right.
all...
You can actually see per female portions.
Yes,
there,
you certainly can, and all Pegasus Knights are almost exclusively female in Fire Emblem.
Okay, so there we go. We cut ahead. And she makes that final admonition. Okay, well, I think that probably dug through that about as much as we're going to be able to. They gave us a little bit to work with. It was surprising. It was shocking. Megan, you got any final thoughts on this?
I'm a little bit turned off, honestly, by sort of the bubblegum pop idol stuff, but otherwise I think that it's really action-packed, and it's definitely interesting. It's unique, and so I'm going to definitely give it a chance. What about you, Jared?
I'm also going to give it a chance. These are two series I enjoy. Megaten in particular, I feel better about Atlus's involvement on the development end of things. They have more hits than misses. But just because it's made by Atlus doesn't mean that necessarily it's going to be good. I think we're going to have to see more before I make any final judgments. I kind of like that they went in a direction I didn't expect, but I don't know yet.
Jury's still out.
Color me intrigued. How about that?
All right, well, on that note...
What do you guys think about this? What do you think about what you've seen here? Let us know in the comment section, and for everything Shin Megami Tensei, or everything Fire Emblem, or everything Devil Survivor, or everything Persona, or everything Nocturne, or
Yes, Strange Journey.
Strange Journey, at all, etc. Stay with your friends here at IGN.
Bye-bye.